To know that we know what we know, and to know that we don't know what we don't know, that is true knowledge. Nicholas Copernicus. Life in space has been making the news, and on November 20th, 2012, NPR reported that NASA's Mars Curiosity rover had gathered some important data. The principal Mars rover investigator, John Grotzinger, claimed, "This data is gonna be one for the history books. It's looking really good." He refused to give any more details because his team had to confirm their findings. Shortly thereafter, NASA tried to downplay Grotzinger's statements, stating that it was the mission which was historic rather than a specific finding. Despite this backfiring, some speculated that organic compounds had been found, and others that it was life that had been discovered. 2 weeks later, on December 3rd, NASA confirmed Curiosity had found organic compounds, but it was still uncertain whether they were indigenous to Mars or had been brought by Curiosity. Most of the speculation had suggested that organic compounds were the historical finding. These are also important because they confirm that the stuff of life, the raw materials or the finding of organic molecules in meteorites, are far more common than firstly thought, just like the discovery of extremophiles, which showed that once life got started, it could be found in unexpected places. The advances in the search for extraterrestrial signs of life suggest that the stuff of life, and hence life, could be commonly found throughout the universe. Francis Crick, a British molecular biologist, and Leslie Orgel, a British chemist, suggested the theory of directed panspermia, and once proposed that life on Earth was the result of a deliberate infection, designed by extraterrestrial intelligent life forms that had purposely fled Mother Nature's seed to a new home in the sun. So, did aliens seed life on Earth? The origin of life is one of the great unsolved mysteries of science. How life originated on Earth is a question that people have pondered for ages. There are many theories, from those based on religious doctrine to the purely scientific, to others that border on science fiction. One possibility that hovers on this border is the panspermia theory, which suggests that life on Earth did not originate on our planet, but was transported here from somewhere else in the universe. While this idea may seem strange out of a science fiction novel, some evidence suggests that an extraterrestrial origin of life may not be such a far-out idea. The panspermia hypothesis suggests that life began on Earth when the seeds of life, already present in the universe, arrived here from space. How did these seeds or microbes get here? Proposed transport methods include meteorites, comets, and spacecraft. So, is there any evidence supporting this hypothesis? Let's see. As part of ongoing research studies, first published in December of 2013 in the Journal of Cosmology, Professor Milton Wainwright and his colleagues at the University of Buckingham claimed they were able to isolate, from samples collected by a balloon in the Earth's stratosphere, an extraterrestrial life form, encased or packaged in a titanium sphere. Wainwright and his team conducted an experiment which involved sending a balloon to the stratosphere, an upper section of the Earth's atmosphere. The researchers said they isolated from samples of dust and particulate matter collected from the stratosphere an extremely small titanium sphere. The sphere made an impact crater on the sampling stub. This proves beyond doubt that the particle was traveling at speed from space when it was sampled. They asked their critics to point to a mechanism that can elevate material from Earth to heights of 22 to 27 kilometers and magically sieve out all of the biological and non-biological material to leave only the unusual biological entities they found, these being between 10 to 300 microns, sizes which according to atmospheric physicists are too large to be carried from Earth to the stratosphere. The collected sample of a small microscopic sphere was about the width of a human hair and made of titanium and vanadium. This particle had threads of life on the outside and a gooey biological liquid shooting out from its center. The University of Buckingham scientists say that the sphere could be an example of direct panspermia, which is the spread of living systems by space travel to suitable environments by intelligent life forms in space, and by that theory, it was sent to Earth by some unknown civilization in order to continue seeding the planet with life. This seeming piece of science fiction called directed panspermia would probably not be taken seriously by any scientist, if actually, for the fact, hasn't been very seriously suggested by Sir Francis Crick, the Nobel Prize recipient for DNA research. Although they are certain that the sphere fell from space, they are unable to determine its exact origin. However, they believe that it contains some form of genetic material that could develop into an alien form of life if it lands on Earth or infects an Earth organism by replicating within the organism like Earth viruses and bacteria do. Other researchers pointed to possibilities of sinister intentions deliberately engineered with a life-threatening virus and then sent to Earth with maliciousness. What is the chance that this life-using particle arrived randomly with the comet? Well, considering its nature and its properties, it had all the signs of having been sent intentionally. The discovery leaves us with another question. Is it possible that alien life engaged in development of our own? Another theory explores the idea that extraterrestrials manipulated our DNA to create a mixed bloodline on our planet. The most notable piece of evidence to support this theory is something called the Rh factor. There are 4 main blood groups, A, B, AB, and O, and the positive and negative refers to your Rh type. Rh type actually refers to the presence or absence of the Rhd antigen in particular, not the Rh antigens generally. Antigens are molecules that produce an immune response, so when a foreign substance or toxin enters our system, antigens tell our bodies to attack them. The absence of any Rh antigens is extremely rare. Health problems may occur for the unborn child of a mother with Rh negative blood when the baby is Rh positive. If a woman with Rh negative blood becomes pregnant with an Rh positive baby, her body will produce antigens, sending signals to her immune system that her fetus is essentially toxic. In that case, the woman's body will kill its own child, unless given a rare antibody known as Rhd immunoglobulin. Look at nature. There's no sign of that kind of self-destruction biology. We can see some similar incompatibilities and sometimes even complete infertility at hybrid animals in other species. For example, when a horse and a donkey mate, the genetic differences will result in a sterile mule. The same goes for a liger, a hybrid offspring of a male lion and a female tiger. Species whose chromosomes don't match, so they produce infertile offspring. They are man-made animals and not considered a real species because they would not occur naturally in the wild. Could there be a similar incompatibility between Rh negative mothers and Rh positive babies? Some scientists believe Rh-negative blood is just a mutation that came about at some unknown time in our evolution. But on the other hand, this has led some researchers to suggest that Rh-negative blood must be of a non-human origin. And what would be the chance that an alien species engineered or crossbred with humans, producing a hybrid bloodline? Approximately 15% of the world's population has the Rh-negative distinction, without the D antigen in their blood. But what makes it more interesting is that this percentage of the population is not spread evenly across the planet. While it's thought that we all share a common ancestor originating in sub-Saharan Africa, the number of Rh-negative Africans is disproportionately low compared to others, only about 3%. That proportion is even lower in Asia, where only about 1% of the population possess this very rare blood type. The highest concentration of the gene that produces Rh-negative has been found in a small region on the Iberian Peninsula between France and Spain, called the Basque region. Almost up to 40% of the population is Rh-negative. And that's not the only distinguishing feature of the region, as they are also the only people of Western Europe who continue to speak an indigenous Indo-European language not spoken anywhere else in Europe. That language is not isolated to just that region. It's also completely unrelated to other European languages. People with Rh-negative blood are more prone to have a lower body temperature, higher than average IQ, higher blood pressure, red hair, and sensitivity to sunlight according to studies. A lot of people who have had ET experiences or abduction stories seem to have a connecting value. They are often Rh-negative. Even though the Rh-negative blood type could be just a mutation that became common in some populations, there is no rational explanation why a pregnant woman's body would destroy its own creation unless nature maybe endured some tampering. Some scientists believe that we are the result of some kind of an intervention, and that the evolutionary process cannot explain the complexity of so many changes in the human body that happened so quickly, and all at the same time. The continuous mystery of the human brain and how it does not fit properly into the accepted time scale of the theory of evolution is perhaps why scientists from the University of Chicago have attempted to propose that the evolution of the human brain was a special event. That was the moment or relatively short span of time in which the evolution of the human brain was somehow dramatically increased. In 2004, Professor Bruce Land from the University of Chicago published results of the long-term study in the journal Cell, suggesting that humans evolved their cognitive abilities not owing to a few sporadic and accidental genetic mutations, as is the usual way with traits in living things, but rather from an enormous number of mutations in a short period of time. Seemingly overnight, in the fossil record, modern humans showed up with the advanced brain, body, and nervous system, leading to the extraordinary capabilities that make us who we are today. Human DNA shows unmistakable signs of planning, such as the fusion and modification of key chromosomes that cannot be explained by evolution. The origin of human chromosome 2, the second largest chromosome in our body, has been scientifically determined to be the relic of an ancient fusion of primate DNA. Following this mutation, the new chromosome was modified and stabilized with a precision that some say it cannot be attributed to evolution. 200,000 years ago, the first modern humans appeared on Earth. But there's something special about the way our brains look today. Human skulls are rounder, faces smaller, and more retracted into the skull. it's a bit different from the way our ancestors looked more than 100,000 years ago. In 2018, the team at the Max Planck Institute for Evolutionary Anthropology in Germany published their research in the journal Science Advances, saying there's something distinct about the way our brains and skulls look now, and it likely developed around 40,000 years ago. What they pointed out about the find is that our brain shape changes track almost perfectly with the development of modern behaviors, like carving tools, planning, developing self-awareness, languages, and even the first cave drawings. In other words, that so-called Great Leap Forward around 40,000 years ago happened exactly around the time we were getting comfy in our newer skulls, and also at the time when Neanderthal man mysteriously became extinct around 40,000 years ago. What's the possibility that some kind of special event occurred between 40,000 to 50,000 years ago and made us who we are today? Could that explain how human culture went from primitive caves to sophisticated civilizations? Ancient cave paintings, the only recorded history from our ancestors, usually show the events from their life, like animals, hunting, war, but also some unknown non-human alien life beings. All around the world, archaeologists discovered prehistoric artwork of what appears to be extraterrestrial beings. Could these paintings be a visual record of alien encounters in the distant past? If we consider those studies about the evolution of the human brain as a special event and what our ancestors were indicating from their history, don't you think that the possibility of an alien interference makes more sense than a random mutation which created man from ape overnight? Darwin's theory of evolution of man states that we evolved from apes over millions of years, and our intellectual abilities were driven to existence by natural selection. That's the most accepted theory of the evolution of man by the scientific community. But some parts of his theory are a bit confusing. If our ancestors started using their hands to make tools when we began walking on 2 feet, there should be slight changes in our ancestors as the evolution happened slowly over a long period of time. He believed that when our ancestors began walking on 2 feet around 6 million years ago, they started using their hands to make tools. But if evolution happened slowly and over a long period of time, there should be slight changes in our ancestors. The evidence shows something different. About 6 million years ago, one of our ancestors stood upright and began to walk on 2 feet. Then no change for 4 million years, until according to fossil records, the earliest stone toolmaking had been developed at least 2.6 billion years ago. Then once again, no advances for more than 2 million years, until only a short time ago, about 200,000 years ago, Homo sapiens suddenly appeared. That cannot be called a small change. Let's take a look at the evolutionary charts. Are they misleading? It could be, as they show the evolution of man without showing what has actually been discovered. If we compare the actual fossils, it's clear there is no transitional species from ape-like creature which existed for millions of years to today's human. Do you think it's more likely to find more recent fossils than the ancient ones, like the world's most famous early human ancestor, the 3.2 million years old ape Lucy? Where are the most recent transitional forms? Where is the missing link? Could it be possible that the missing link is missing as it doesn't exist? Let's take crocodiles as an example, as they haven't changed at all in at least 65 million years. Considering that, what could be the chance that the missing link doesn't exist because of genetic modification done by a more advanced life form who's responsible for the great leap forward in our intelligence? Could this theory also explain why there are so many different races or versions of humans in only a few 100,000 years? Don't miss the next episode of The Hidden History of the Human Origin, our solar system secrets, where we will ask more questions. How is it even possible that only about 200,000 years ago, a single woman became the great-grandmother of us all? Why did humans evolve from two entirely different pathways? Why the otherwise perfectly mathematical patterns of our solar system has a vacancy? What caused the ancient nuclear reaction on Mars? Thank you for watching this episode, and hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. We really hope you subscribe, and if you'd like to be notified of future releases, just hit the bell button. Leave a comment. Let me know what your thoughts are on all of this and what topics would you like to explore in our future videos.